Hey up everyone, the Yorkshire Magpie here. I hope you're okay. So yesterday we had a 0-0 draw with West Brom. For me, this was a must-win game because the gap between us and the bottom three in terms of points is getting smaller and smaller. Steve Bruce, however, didn't feel the same way, saying in his press conference before the game, well, you know, we'd like to win. Like to win? We're in the middle of a relegation battle, Steve Bruce. Wake up. I didn't want to start the video on a negative, but how does Steve Bruce not see this as a must-win? Before the game, we were 3 points above the relegation zone. With one win from another team and us dropping points or losing, we could find ourselves in that bottom three. And with no disrespect to West Brom, this is our chance to pick up points against teams that we are better than. And there's not many in the league that we are. I mean, we're better than West Brom. Well, at least I thought we were better than West Brom before yesterday. Look, I didn't expect it to be the best game in the world. It's pretty much two championship teams going up against each other. But something told me we were going to nick a win today, because I have belief in the squad, but after watching that performance, I just feel deflated. I think usually if you get a point against a relegation rival, it's a good thing because they're not closing the gap, they're not getting any closer to you. The problem with that, it's not good if other teams around you get a win. And that's exactly what Fulham did. They got a 1-0 win at Anfield. And now there is a point between us and the bottom three. And yes, we have a game in hand, but we're going up against Villa next, and Villa are a better team than us. They've had a decent season, much better than last year. If we can't get a win against West Brom, how can we expect to get a win against Villa? I just don't see it happening, unfortunately. Anyway, let's talk about the game. Like I said, I didn't expect it to be the best game of football, and I was right. It was extremely scrappy. With no disrespect to the players, because clearly they're all very good footballers, because they all play in the Premier League, it was like watching a Sunday League match. However, having said that, there were a few positives to take out the game. Not many, but a few. The first positive is that we started the game the better side. The downside to that is it lasted for 15 minutes. We had a big chance in the first 5 minutes. Fraser was on the wing, Willock and Joe Linton were in the box, and they had one defender. All Fraser needed to do was to find one of the players. That's all he needed to do. But instead, he didn't look up, he crossed the ball, and it went straight to the opposition. I feel like this is a problem with all of our players in our team. No one looks up. It seems like every time one of our players gets the ball, it's panic central. Let's not look where we're passing it, let's just get rid of it. It seems like the players don't want to have the responsibility of making a mistake, so they don't look up and just get rid of the ball. But by not looking up and finding even a simple pass, they're making mistakes. They're hitting the ball out for throw-ins, they're passing the ball to the opposition players. Just look up. We had another decent passage of play in the 11th minute. Willock broke from the midfield brilliantly. He had a great pass to Joe Linton. Joe Linton worked really well to beat his man. He crossed, and unfortunately that cross was intercepted before it got to Fraser. The game was really end-to-end. It seemed like both Sam Allardyce and Steve Bruce opted for Route 1 football, which was to be expected. But if we're going to play Route 1 football, why is Andy Carroll not starting? Instead, we opted for a front three of Ryan Fraser, Joe Willock and Joe Linton. Ryan Fraser's 5'4", Joe Willock's a midfielder playing out of position, and Joe Linton's second to every ball because his confidence is low. So it's not going to work. To be fair to Joe Linton, he worked really hard today, and he was probably one of our best players on the pitch. I don't think he gets much praise normally, but he definitely showed a bit of fight, a bit of something today, which a lot of the players didn't. If Andy Carroll sits in the middle of that front three and Joe Willock drops back to midfield, Andy Carroll can be that target man. He can control the ball from the air, get it down onto the ground. Joe Linton and Ryan Fraser can make runs on the wing. He can get the ball to one of them, and then he can burst through the middle and make a run. They can cross it in. He's got a great header on him, Andy Carroll, and we can nick a goal that way. I don't understand why Steve Bruce hasn't thought about that. Steve Bruce just clearly doesn't want to change the tactics, so he's kept that false nine position and made Joe Willock play it. But Joe Willock's never really played there. Yes, he's an attacking midfielder, but he's not part of a front three in playing a sort of striker role. It's a bit of a confusing role, and it's a good role for Miggy Almiron, but unfortunately, he's not Miggy Almiron. And that's not me saying that Joe Willock isn't good enough to play there or isn't a good enough player. It's just, that's not his role. It's not what he's used to. It just makes sense to me to play Andy Carroll up top if we're going to go for Route 1 football, because he's a target man. I sympathise with Steve Bruce to a certain extent because he's missing his three most creative players, but he knows that that formation isn't going to work without them. So we need to change it. Anyway, moving on, we know we have problems up front because we're missing our three creative players, but it seems like today we had problems at the back too. In the 34th minute, Phillips makes a run and gets a shot off, and no one's closing him down. Everyone's standing away from him. It seems like everyone's scared to make a tackle. Someone go for it, close him down. I understand it to a certain extent because we're trying to keep a line, we're trying to keep within our formation. But our formation looks all over the place anyway. So someone might as well go and try and take the ball off him. West Brom were definitely on top at the latter stages of the first half. They were outplaying us at moments, and the commentators said that the Newcastle players put a good shift in and followed Steve Bruce's tactics really well. Are you having a laugh? I mean, the commentator, if you want to explain to me what Steve Bruce's tactics are, I'm all ears. We come out at the start of the second half, no tactical changes made, and we didn't make the best start of the half. Quite early on, a pass was made to Jonjo Shelvey and he completely misses the ball. And to be fair to him, he tracked all the way back to make up for his mistake and win the ball back, so I've got to give him credit for that. However, usually, in my opinion, Jonjo Shelvey is our laziest player on the pitch. And to a certain extent, I can understand that that's his role, because he acts as like this anchor in the middle, and he's sort of our creative force from the middle. We pass the ball to him and he looks for options and he pings it up and finds people further up the pitch. So he doesn't necessarily need to move because players will find him. However, he is the worst culprit for not looking up. He gets the ball and just hoofs it and hopes for the best. He's doing this constantly. He's constantly doing this. It's not good enough. A good example of this is that we had a throw-in in the 74th minute in our own half. Emmanuel Kraft had the ball, he was looking for options, and Jonjo Shelvey made a slight run and was like, I'm here, I'm open. So Kraft throws it to him, and he just hoofs it. He doesn't look where he's passing it to, he just hoofs it, and it goes out for a throw-in for them. Why? We've got possession, we can take our time, we've got the throw-in, let's calm it down, let's find some space, get the ball on the ground, look for options, even if it's just a simple pass back to one of our defenders for them to find someone else in space. Why, when we have possession, is he asking for the ball to just give it to them? In the 55th minute, Steve Bruce makes his first change, bringing on Dwight Gale for Jeff Hendrick. So we had a striker on the pitch for 35 minutes in a must-win game. 35 minutes we had a striker on the pitch in a must-win game. Yes, you can say Joe Linton's a striker, but he's playing out on the right and he's scored 3 goals in 58 games. So I'm not expecting him to score. I don't think any Newcastle fans are expecting him to score. We need to bring on someone that might. Also, I don't know how Jeff Hendrick's getting a place in our starting lineup. Every time he's on the pitch, I forget he's there. Like, he gets announced in the pre-match lineup and I'm like, oh, Jeff Hendrick's playing, right. But then his name's never said once by the commentators, or I never see him once on the ball. It seems like he's trying to stay away from the ball and stay under the radar and nick a living as a footballer, because that certainly is what it seems like. To be honest, when Dwight Gale came on, not much changed. He didn't really make much of an impact at all. He seemed to be quite quiet for the most of the game. He did create one chance for Willock, where he passed it to him on the right, just outside their box. Willock had a great strike. It was going in the top corner, but a great save from Johnson. We had another decent chance in the 70th minute where Willock made a great run from the halfway line, passed it to Joe Linton, but of course, Joe Linton scuffed the shot. But apart from those couple of opportunities, West Brom were on top. They were better than us. They were the better team. I felt like we were just holding on. Against a team we should be better than, against a team that's in 19th position, against a team that had 17 points up until this point in the season before this game. And we're just holding on. It became very evident to me that the best that we could hope for towards the end of the game was a point. So why bring on Andy Carroll for the last 30 seconds of the game when the pressure's on us? I can sort of understand the thinking that if we just stick a big man up top and then get rid of the ball, he can hopefully get onto it and hold it up. But what actually happened is he just gave away a foul and gave them possession. And there was, if anything, was inviting more pressure. In my opinion, if we're holding on for the last 30 seconds, stick another defender on. Ensure we get that draw, not put on another striker and leave us exposed at the back. Overall, it was just a very frustrating game to watch, and as a fan, I didn't see many moments to be positive about. I think as a fan, I'm just a bit deflated. What happened on the pitch yesterday, what happened midweek with Steve Bruce and Matt Ritchie having a bust-up, how the club's run, looking at our next fixtures and wondering where we're going to get any points from. I just can't see it going any other way than us getting relegated at the moment. Anyway, that's it from me. I'll try to be a bit more positive next week. Hopefully we can nick a result against Villa. I'd love 3 points, but realistically, the best we can probably hope for is a point. And I'd probably be happy with that against Villa. So yeah, Let's hope for the best. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you later.